back of the net. Joel Waterman.
It's back post, Metusala.
Not to be outdone, Victor Laturi.
The guitar shot. Score.
Slip for Sissoko.
Angaro's onside. Angaro.
Hello and good afternoon, Canada. Welcome to the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft presented by Degree. My name is Adam Jenkins, absolutely privileged to not only be the lead commentator of the Canadian Premier League, but your host for this special yearly tradition. Over the next hour, each head coach in the Canadian Premier League will select 2 players, each of whom will take the next step in realizing their dream of becoming a professional footballer in their very own backyard. We'll also be joined today by the CPL's Christian Jack, who spoke with perhaps the most prolific Canadian Premier League U Sports Draft pick ever, Joel Waterman, who went from the Trinity Western University Spartans to Cavalry to CF Montreal, a full Canadian international, and now has a World Cup under his belt. Shortly, I will go through the draft order, the rules, the format. Firstly, however, there are some congratulations that are due. I'd like to begin by congratulating Curtis Atkinson, who was the Director of Athletics and Recreation at Thompson Rivers University, and head coach John Antilov, not only for hosting a fantastic U Sports men's soccer championship in a snow-filled Kamloops, but also winning it in penalties. We know spot kicks are always incredibly nerve-wracking, but the hometown team was able to get it done. The brothers Alessandro and Domenico Comita held their nerve to help secure the title. Well done to the conference champions as well, the UBC Thunderbirds, who are finalists nationally for winning Canada West, also in a shootout over the Calgary Dinos. So tip of the cap to Mike Mosier and the UBC Thunderbirds for that. We also have to congratulate Chris Marcoux and the McMaster Marauders, who defeated the TMU Bolds for the OUA title, the RSEQ. That title belongs once again to Pat Raimondo and the University of Montreal Carabin for a 5th straight year, and Dino Morley and the Cape Breton Capers in the AUS. Likewise, also important to highlight Nadej Akamse and the Carabin, who beat the Laval Rougeailleurs to win the U Sports Women's Soccer Championship. So a very, very festive time, and also an exciting time for a lot of those players who played in those conference and national championship matches, as over the course of the next hour, they might hear their name called and become one of those next players. So let's put up the board and show you how this draft will work. Vancouver will have the first 2 picks in round 1. The expansion side, it will be a 2-round draft. After Vancouver goes back to back, the selection order is based on the 2022 season standings, with the last place team selecting first. CPL champion Forge will select last in both rounds. Vancouver again will not have a pick in the second round. This is not a snake draft, as you can see. Therefore, the second round will repeat in the exact same order, with the exception of Vancouver, who will have made both of their picks in round 1. For the players who are selected, once they hear their name calls, they may be invited to a preseason training camp with the prospective clubs, where they can compete for a roster spot for the 2023 CPL season. 61 young men have heard their names called over the past 4 seasons. They have gone on to play in 839 CPL matches, starting 622 of them. They have amassed an incredible 57,458 minutes as professionals, scoring 63 goals and adding 42 assists. 16 of the 199 players who have declared for this draft could be next, joining some notable names like the aforementioned Joel Waterman, former Cavalry FC midfielder Victor Laturi, who is now playing with Ross County in the Scottish Premiership, Zach Verhoeven, a member of the CPL's reigning regular season champion Atletico Ottawa squad, and Abubakar Sissoko of the reigning CPL champion Forge FC squad. Vancouver FC, they are now on the clock to make the first selection, and while they prepare to do so, let's hear from Christian Jack and Joel Waterman, both.
Joel, you talk about Trinity Western. Let's talk about the draft. So the draft goes this week at the CPL. Your story is really special and unique, and this is why it's great to talk to you. November 2018, you get drafted in the Canadian Premier League. November 2022, you go to the FIFA Men's World Cup. That's the 4-year window right there, from the draft to the World Cup. It doesn't get any better than that. What were your memories, obviously playing at Trinity Western a little bit with the Foothills? What were your memories going into that draft?
To be honest, I don't think a lot of people know this. I actually wasn't even going to declare for the draft because I think at that time I heard rumors of the Canadian Premier League, but I wasn't sure how many teams. I wasn't sure how it was going to go down, and I was like, this is too new. Let me just try, maybe go overseas or to the States through that route. But I think it was like the second to last day I decided to declare for the draft, and that's when the CPL got a hold of me and said, you should really do it. It's going to be really exciting. It gives the players an opportunity, and they kind of persuaded me to be a part of it. So I just remember getting the call. I think I was at, I think the season just finished, and we had like our year-long party with our university guys and guys that were going to be going different ways, and guys that are still best friends to this day for me. And I remember getting a call from Tommy Wheeldon Jr. on like my buddy's couch or something like that, saying you made it, and we've chosen you 14th overall, and that kind of for me was the start of my professional journey. Right, they gave me an opportunity, obviously from the PDL championship win to he brought, I think it was like 12 or 13 players to the CPL squad. So I was very excited. I knew I was either going to be going to probably Pacific or Calgary at the time, just closer to home. Loved Tommy Wheeldon, loved the city of Calgary as they embraced me, and obviously it worked out after a really, really strong year I had there. So really good memories, and I'm glad I ended up declaring for the draft.
Well, we're certainly glad that you did as well. I know Tommy had a profound impact on your career, and is still obviously a major part in our league. What would your advice be to those getting drafted this year? Like, what would your advice be as they decide to come and play in the Canadian Premier League and take that route to try and become a professional and follow your footsteps, mate?
I would say absolutely do it. I think there was 188 or 190 guys that declared for the draft this year. I think that's obviously triple the amount probably in my year, and I think it's great to see, obviously, with myself and other guys getting, transferred to different leagues. The CPL is there and it can work. So my advice would just be to enjoy it and take the opportunity. I think these opportunities don't come around. You look at me, I've had to take every opportunity that comes my way. That might only come around once. So make sure you're ready for it. If you're serious about it and serious about becoming a professional, it's definitely a solidified way now to get to, the world stage. So hopefully my journey and guys can look at that journey and say, okay, this works. If he did it, no matter where you are, small town kid like myself in Calgary, York, it doesn't matter where you come from. I think it can definitely work for your professional career.
Well, Joel certainly has deserved and earned his flowers. It was also fantastic to see Joel go back to speak to his local secondary school and tell the students there at the assembly to dream, to believe, and achieve just like he had, proving that there is certainly a pathway to do so. Before we get into the draft, I want to mention as well, again, that this draft is sponsored by the good folks at Degree. We thank them for coming on board and being a special part of this day. And the day is about to get a lot more special. Our thanks to Christian Jack and Joel Waterman. And also now time to welcome in the commissioner of the Canadian Premier League, Mark Noonan, who joins us. Commissioner, I trust that your vocal warm-ups are done and you are ready to go. You're going to be a very busy man today. This is your first CPL U Sports Draft. I know that this partnership with U Sports is very important to you. So what must you be feeling on a day like today?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and I hope we have 16 Joel Watermans in the draft today. And it is a life-changing event for these young men, and I look forward to announcing the picks and getting their journey started in the Canadian Premier League.
Well, if you are ready, Commissioner, let us begin with those picks. The first overall selection, the floor is yours.
Okay, with the first overall pick in the 2023 Canadian Premier League U Sport Draft, the Vancouver FC select Anthony White from the University of Toronto. Congratulations.
Well, for the second day in a row, Vancouver adds some local talent to their developing roster, drafting Port Moody, BC native Anthony White first overall. He joins Jose Cunha, Thomas Gardner, Corey Bent, and Gabriel Bitar in the prestigious first overall selection club. He is also the second varsity Blue to have his name called since Ford selected Marko Mandekic with the 17th overall selection in 2018. A left-footed center back, he would fall into the U21 Canadian designation. So I would say Vancouver FC, after announcing Callum Irving as their very first signing yesterday, are off to a good start. Let's hear a little bit more on that as we welcome in head coach of Vancouver FC, Afshin Guppy, to the show. Afshin, congratulations, your first CPL U Sports Draft as well. Let's talk a little bit about your selection. First two roster moves, you get a keeper and you get a defender, both with some championship pedigree. See, it seems like a good start for your defensive foundation.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to be with everyone and all the soccer fans across Canada and the world. It's very important to build a team from the back, and I think as we've talked about this, Vancouver is going to be a club about Vancouver and about finding top talents in the Vancouver area and developing them for the future of Canadian football. And I think Anthony White really embodies what we are looking for. He's as you can see, has a fantastic left foot. It's difficult to find all around the world left-footed central defenders, and to find someone that's under 21 from the Vancouver area with his qualities is a very special pick for us.
Was also a championship winner with TSS Rovers, who won the League One BC Championship. Anthony doing that alongside his brother Nick. Some training as well, Afshin, in Germany, in Spain, in Croatia as well. This seems like a player who clearly shows that he is able to absorb and learn from his various coaches. What kind of values of Vancouver FC are you hoping to instill in both Anthony and the draft pick we're getting to get to momentarily here?
I think it's important to develop the ambiance and the landscape in the club and the infrastructure that will provide for him, trying to take him to the next step and the dreams he has. I had a great conversation with him, and in our video chat that we had earlier, I found him to be a very intelligent young man, and I think that's really important to have his size, his quality, but also his intelligence. And from everything I've read and I know about him, he embodies the qualities on the field and also off the field. And his dream is to be a national team player for Canada, and his dream is to play in the World Cup. And I'm hoping in 4 years' time he'll be there.
Well, we are certainly hoping, as supporters of the Canadian Premier League, that as many of these 16 players will be there as well. Afshin, thank you. We'll be right back to you momentarily, but we will say goodbye for now as we get prepared to announce the second pick. I will add, I had the chance to speak to Anthony's coach, Ilya Orlov, who was at the Sigma Showcase today, never taking a day off. And luckily for those in Ontario, it was inside. And I just want to congratulate Ilya as well. As much as it pains me to say this as a TMU grad, it's a good time to be a varsity Blue also, with Lucas McNaughton, a product of the University of Toronto, getting involved with the men's national team as well. Let's go back to the commissioner, Mark Noonan, as he announces Vancouver's second overall pick.
For the second overall pick in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Vancouver FC selects Amir Kanani from Toronto Metropolitan University.
So Vancouver goes back to the OUA for a pick that shouldn't be considered bold, drafting Toronto Metropolitan University forward Amir Kanani. It is Philip Prostrand's second student athlete selected after Jacob Carlos went to Valor last season. Kanani, as you'll see here, well, he is a bona fide goal scorer, netting 4 with the Bolds, helping lead them to an OUA final and a 5th place finish at Nationals in Kamloops. He's also fresh off a call-up to the Canadian national futsal team in a 20-man camp ran by Forge assistant coach Kit Seladopoulos, where trained alongside CPLers Noah Jensen, Obeng Tabi, and Sebastian Costello. As we bring Afshin Guppy back into the show, I'll add as well, also on Amir's impressive CV, an appearance at the U19 Asia Cup with the Iraqi national side. So Afshin, just to recap, we got a goalkeeper, we have a defender, and now we have a goal scorer. Seems like you're just ticking all the boxes right now on the Lower Mainland.
Well, I think what we see with Amir, he has a nose for goal, and I think it's always important to find players that can go in danger areas and be as efficient and precise as he is. He has a fantastic background, playing in the youth national team of Iraq, and then coming to as an immigrant to Canada and really embodying an immigrant coming to North America to live his dreams. I spoke with him, and I was so impressed with how he's taken his whole family under his arms, and living without his father, and taking care of his mom and his siblings. And one thing that I also loved about him is the fact that his father was a striker for the Iraqi national team and is a goal scorer. So he's a prodigy, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity to bring him to Vancouver and make him part of our program.
An official note that the Halifax Wanderers are now on the clock. I will leave you with one more question, Afshin, before we let you go for the holidays. You know that this has been a very busy 30 hours for the club. That's 3 players. I don't expect this pace to sustain for the club, but for the supporters who may be watching, who are, I'm sure, very excited to keep learning who will be wearing their club's colors, what sort of timeline can you give those supporters who might be anticipating that information, knowing that the holidays are also just around the corner?
Well, we've been really working around the clock with the help of my colleagues. And one of the things I can share with all the fans is that almost every few days, we're going to have some good news for them. And we have targeted a lot of exciting, young, talented players that we feel can really wear Vancouver FC shirt with pride and play for the community and the city, and really make this city proud of the new football club.
Well, we're certainly excited to hear that good news. Afshin, thank you so much, and congratulations on your first CPL U Sports Draft. All the best to you and your family over the holidays, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
You too. Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Afshin Gapi of Vancouver FC. So that's 3 names now, Vancouver supporters, for you to try and learn, and perhaps we will see one of Anthony or Amir in Langley next season. Let's go back to the commissioner as the Halifax Wanderers are ready for their first selection.
With the 3rd overall pick in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, the Halifax Wanderers select Anthony Stoller from Cape Breton University.
Mississauga, Ontario native Anthony Stoller going to the Halifax Wanderers out of the Capers. Their record 13th alum to be drafted. That is the most of any of the 48 U Sports men's soccer programs. Stolar is a 5'8" right back that CBU coach Dino Morley describes as a pit bull for his tenacity, work ethic, and spirit. Anthony is also a product of Scrosapi FC in League One Ontario, where he was a regular starter. Rush Canada Soccer also on that resume as well. He's commended for his awareness, being technically sound, and could draw some comparisons to a Jake Ruby. Well, speaking of people who are making their first appearance at the CPL U Sports Draft, let's welcome in Halifax Wanderers coach Patrice Geyser. Patrice, welcome. York United, you are on the clock as we begin this interview with Patrice. You had told us, Patrice, that when you took this job, that there was not a single player in League One Ontario that you saw or coached against that you didn't think could make this step up into the Canadian Premier League. What did you like about Anthony that makes you believe that he can do it? Because I believe you saw him back in May.
Yeah. Hey, Adam. Yeah, we thought, I've known Anthony for quite a while, and, he checked off all the boxes we were looking for. He's super competitive. He's extremely confident, and he's a player that we know will come in and be ready to perform at any position or duties that we want.
Well, you've got quite a bit of your holiday shopping done already, Coach, I would say, with 12 players already signed on for 2023. Just to zoom out a little bit, we will be seeing you again later, but how have the first few weeks, of your life been on the job as Halifax Wanderers head coach?
It's been fantastic, Adam, just going through the roster and getting to know all the players and starting to plan things. And I think part of the excitement is getting to know our players and their ambitions, and also reviewing and looking at the pieces that we want to bring in. So, we're working hard in finding what we need, and, bringing in the attitude that we need to form the culture that we want to form moving forward.
I will leave you with this, Coach. I know you are still learning the ropes of the Halifax Wanderers, but this is a club that has played their draft picks from this event nearly 200 more matches than previous selections, over 21,000 minutes from drafted players like Peter Shala, Corey Bent, Andre Bona, and Jake Ruby. What is it about this connection to some of those East Coast schools, CBU, a lot of the time, but also giving the platform to the young students that are in and around the Maritimes an opportunity to make it as a pro?
Yeah, I think, Adam, every player in this draft has every tool that's needed. I think what Coach Hart and the staff did amazingly is qualified the position and the personnel that you needed to come in. And then most importantly, we're brave enough to give them those chances. I mean, to play a young man is always, of course, nerve-wracking, but, you got to give him a chance to sink or swim. And I think we're planning to do the same with both of our draft picks. And I'm looking forward to see their growth in front of us.
Well, Patrice, we will see you back again in the second round. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Back to Commissioner Noonan for the next selection in this year's draft.
With the 4th overall pick in the 2023 CPL U SPORTS Draft, York United select Christopher Campoli from Ontario Tech University.
Well, this will be a familiar name to the CPL U SPORTS Draft. Christopher Campoli has been selected for the 3rd time in the history of this event, going 4th overall in 2021 to the Nine Stripes, 3rd last season to the Wanderers, and now 4th again this year. And what stands out about Campoli, other than these unbelievable goals that you're seeing on the screen right now, is that every single time he has been drafted and put in an appearance at training camp, and it wasn't able to stick that time, he went back to Ontario Tech with the type of mentality and mindset that he wants to get better. And he certainly got better this season, leading Ontario Tech with 13 goals in 11 matches, on the way to being named the U Sports Player of the Year. We'll see if it can stick around this time with York United. Valor FC, you are on the clock now. In the meantime, let us introduce to today's draft Martin Nash. Martin Nash, good afternoon. Good to see you. What can you tell us about Christopher Campoli? I know this is a somewhat familiar name to CPL supporters, but after the season he had, it seems like this young man is just starting to really reach his peak.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that he's been in the league and just not really clicked for him, and now he had a great season, Player of the Year. He's got great attributes. He's got great technical quality and ability to score goals, which is always tough to find. So I think he's in a great place now to get that opportunity to stick.
Well, he has the opportunity to try and follow in the footsteps of the likes of Gabriel Bitar, Stefan Kara-Jovanovic, who were drafted multiple times before it really arriving for them. Back to the Nine Stripes right now, Martin, when you think about what was made of your season last year and the fact that you could almost split it into sections, knowing you over these past couple of years, you are a process person. You are a patience person as well. Now that you have another offseason with this core, and I'll knock on wood for the injuries to stay away for you in 2023, what sort of momentum are you hoping to build right out of the gate next year at York United?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. The core. We keep the core of the players that ended the season, because we were on a great run to finish the year. And obviously injuries derailed us early in the season, but we're trying to improve on what we finished the season with talent-wise, and we think we're on a good path right now. We're adding key pieces, and we feel we can get off to a great start, especially with the core coming back.
Well, Martin, thanks for your time. We'll see you again in round number 2. We will move on with this draft, and we will go to the commissioner for Valor's first selection in the first round.
With the 5th overall pick in the 2023 CPL U SPORTS Draft, Valor FC of the great city of Winnipeg select Guillaume Pianelli Balassoni from Université de Québec à Trois-Rivières.
Guillaume Pianelli of Les Patriotes de l'UQTR goes to Valor, a U Sports first-team All-Canadian in 2022. The French center back is selected in the first round of the draft for the 2nd year in a row after having his name called by Forge last year. He is a force in both the PLSQ and the RSCQ since he arrived from France in 2019, finishing 6th at the national championship in Kamloops with Les Patriotes, and a line that I absolutely loved from one of the coaches that coached against him this season told me, you can't high press him, and if the pitch was on fire, he would still find a way to stay cool on the ball. That is high praise for a center back who has a chance to make an impact with Philip Dos Santos' side. He is the man who joins us next. Philip, congratulations. It seems like almost an embarrassment of riches Valor's had over the years at center back, and you add what could be another really good piece.
Yeah, I think so, and we hope so. We watched him. I think his name came to our radar last year, and it didn't happen. There were other needs at the time for the club. So, when we had the opportunity this season to pick him for us, we also look at the needs of the team. We look at the maturity that he has already as a player, playing games in CFA in France. And, if you understand the level, it's a very competitive league. And you look at him, it's a player that could step in and play in the league right away. So we're excited about it.
Well, certainly Valor supporters will be very excited about perhaps having a protege to Andrew Jean-Baptiste, who has made that position his own. Phil, thank you. We'll talk to you in round 2.
Thanks, Adam.
Well, Pacific, they're on the clock. They have made their selection, and Mark Noonan, the commissioner, has it ready for us.
With the 6th pick of the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Pacific FC selects Eric Lajeunesse from the University of British Columbia.
Well, another left-sided center back, Eric Lajeunesse, 6'2", who came through the Whitecaps residency program, was also named the Lou Billick Award winner as U Sports Rookie of the Year. So, from UBC to the island, he'll have a ferry trip in his near future. Another fantastic year for the Thunderbirds. They fell 6-5 from spot kicks to lose the U Sports National Championship. But Eric, he played 120 minutes in that championship match, and the Thunderbird team, led by Mike Mosier, that fielded 5 past CPLers and draftees. Well, from Vancouver to in and around the Victoria area, that's where we find James Merriman. James, great to see you. A word on the player you just picked up. It seems like that might slide in nicely, perhaps into an Abdou Samaki type of role.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Eric has got great size, 6'2", difficult to find, left-footed, left side central defender, good mobility. We also found him to be very calm and collected, playing out of the back, comfortable on the ball, good pass. So plays the way that we like to play and extremely aggressive defensively. So he's very exciting, and he's only 19 years old. He showed great consistency this season for UBC.
I know that this is a club, and I will remind Cavalry that they are on the clock right now, that this is a club that has that prides itself on community and character as much as success. And Mike Mosier talked about the intangibles that Eric brings. Just maybe a word for any aspiring young footballer that like to hear their name called someday, how important those types of intangibles are to being a professional footballer, not just the skill.
Yeah, I think, being 19 years old, but being that consistent to start and play every match for Mike Mosier and for UBC, and that shows his character and his personality. And it's so important when you're trying to make the jump to our level, to the professional level. And we see that and appreciate that about him, and really excited to see what he can do coming into preseason.
James, thank you. We will see you in round 2 as we head back to Commissioner Noonan for the next pick in the draft.
Thank you, Adam. With the 7th overall pick in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Cavalry FC select local product William Omarine from the University of Calgary.
Well, not a very far trip either for William to make. The 6'1" left back did a fantastic job in his freshman season. You get the attacking fullback, wingback type from the Dinos, and he is going to stay in the foothills where he has worked with Jay Wielden's program for some years now, named to the Canada West All-Rookie team after their stellar 2022 season. That also saw William excel with Team Alberta at the 2022 Canada Games. Under Dinos coach Brendan O'Donnell, William led his team in both goals and assists this season, and then came just one penalty shootout away from advancing to nationals. Atletico Ottawa, you are now on the clock as we welcome in Tommy Wielden Jr. Tommy, I suppose this is more of a reintroduction instead of a reintroduction for you for William, a player that you've had your eye on for a little while now.
Yeah, he's someone we've been quite happy with. He's a player with great athleticism, very good technique, great character. He's had a really good rookie season with the Dinos. He's somebody that's been part of our system, whether it be at Foothills or the Cavalry U20 this season under my brother. And we like it. Now we've just got to bring him through the pro environment and see how he acclimatizes to it. But we've had good success in the past with it. So he's someone that we've got big hopes for.
That type of player, it makes me think immediately to Mo Farsi. And I know that there would be trouble if Jay led you astray with his scouting report.
Yeah, never compared two players similar, but he's got similar attributes.
Similar attributes, we will take that. Tommy, thank you for your time. We'll see you in just a little bit.
Thank you.
Back to Commissioner Noonan for Atletico Ottawa's selection.
With the 8th overall pick in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Atletico Ottawa selects Junior Agicum from Thompson Rivers University.
Well, a first-round selection in the CPL U Sports Draft to go along with a national championship, as well as the Nike Performance of the Game in that final. Junior Agicum, welcome to the Canadian Premier League. The sophomore out of Calgary, Alberta, a product of Robert Thirst High School, would be eligible for the U21 designation. He also played with Rivers FC in League One British Columbia, some youth time with the Vancouver Whitecaps Academy, also Real Oviedo in La Liga 2. Maybe you could draw a comparison with the type of player that he is to one Jordan Wilson, rock solid defensive midfielder. But let's get the assessment from the head coach that just drafted him. Here is Carlos Gonzalez. Carlos, fantastic to see you. It seems like that area that is a strength for Atletico Ottawa just got a little bit stronger.
Hello, Adam. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we were looking for this type of midfielder, a midfielder that is also a versatile midfielder. He can play as a 6 or as an 8, and also we've seen him as a center back. So it was the midfielder that we were looking for. I think that he's prepared for the demands of the league. He has a great physicality. He has a special talent in defense. He's winner of duels. He has a great anticipation, and also he does really easy the things with the ball. So I think that he's the profile of player that we were looking for.
Well, anyone who thought Atletico Ottawa's defending would get a little bit weaker next year probably just had a shiver go through their body. Coach, thank you for joining us. We'll see you in round 2.
Thank you.
Over to Commissioner Noonan for Forge's first pick in the draft, the last of the first round.
With the 9th overall pick in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Forge FC select Miles Green from McMaster University.
Forge once again showing some love to the local university in Hamilton as Miles Green of the Marauders goes with the final pick in the first round of the draft. 10 regular season matches played for the OUA first team All-Star this season, 6 goals, 2 assists, 2 game winners, and second in the OUA in total shots with 42. He found the back of the net twice in the postseason, including the game winner against the Nipissing Lakers in the OUA semifinal. And with Hamilton United, he was tied for the top goal scorer in League One Ontario, with 23 goals. And get it done on different parts of the pitch, and it just seems like a Forge kind of player. Let's ask Bobby Smirniotis, their head coach, if he would agree with that assessment, as we have Bobby and also Jelani Smith joining us. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. How's it going, Adam?
What can you tell us about Miles Green? You go to McMaster to get up a player that knows how to score, and that's a key to what Forge likes to do, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously we like our attacking players. We like to have a variety and having options in that front line. And he's a player who's shown over this past year, both at the university level with McMaster and with Hamilton United, that he can put the ball in the net. He can do it from a wider range of positions on the field, from wide areas, from playing really up top in different setups. So a very versatile player, excellent left foot, and can find the back of the net.
Well, one of the biggest successes that your club has ever had, Bobby, in this draft is Abubakar Sissoko. Now, there was a brief pause with another club, but now that he's back in Forge colors, he's really excelling. Just how highly do you rate this environment, this CPL U Sports partnership, Bobby, to try and find some players who are ready to become professionals?
Yeah, I think it's been very good. You mentioned one of them there. Another one is Garvin Metusala, who's done an excellent job for us, both domestically and in CAF competitions. And we've seen throughout the first 4 years of how important players can be out of this process. And it's just about finding the right player, sometimes the right position and the right timing for them to be able to come in and make an impact in the team.
Well, certainly some love that is due to Garvin Metusala as well out of the Concordia University Stingers. What a rise he has had. Gentlemen, thank you. We will check in with you in round 2. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the opening round of our draft. 9 selections, they have been made. We can reflect on who has gone in round number 1 as we get set for the second round. And we think about the likes of Miles Green, of course, Anthony White, who goes first overall. It has been a very productive, especially productive first round for the OUA. Count them up: U of T, Toronto Met, Ontario Tech, and McMaster University at the end. Junior Agicum going to Ottawa from Thompson Rivers University, a very exciting player. heading the way as well to, well, a handful of those clubs. We've heard them. Let us now move on to round number 2. That will put Halifax on the clock. As Vancouver, reminder, they are not selecting in the second round. They got their business done back-to-back as the expansion side. And because I know that they are just about ready to go, we will just say once again, we'd like to thank our partners at Degree for presenting this 2023 CPL U Sports Draft. And with that, back to the commissioner for the first pick of round number 2.
Thank you, Adam. And the first pick of round 2, which is the 10th overall in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, the Halifax Wanderers select Aiden Rushena from Dalhousie University.
Well, this isn't a player that will be a surprise to Halifax Wanderers supporters as he suited up for their U23 side, a freshman out of Toronto studying computer science that would also be U21 eligible. Played his youth soccer with North Toronto in League One. He had been brought in to train with the Wanderers while he was with Dalhousie and was also playing locally for Halifax City. You can call him a sweeper keeper, undersized a little bit at 6'2", but great reflexes, and most importantly, a good shot stopper, the type of keeper that likes to distribute the ball quickly. Back in with Patrice Geyser for reflection on his next selection in this draft, the first in round 2. We knew that there'd be some goalkeeping that needed to be addressed this offseason for the club, Patrice, and some familiarity in Aiden.
Yeah, for sure. We're super excited to have him with us. Obviously, being with us last summer, we felt working along with our goalie coach, Jan, that he's got a massive upside. He has great feet, which is going to suit the style we want to play. He has good size and agility. He's extremely reliable, has a high level of concentration. And I think most importantly, obviously, as you talked about, is his young age. And, you know, if I could say another thing about this young man is just speaking to him, he has the highest level of ambitions and confidence. And I was very, very impressed to hear his attitude about wanting to improve on a daily level and the sacrifices he's made to be where he is today.
That's an interesting balancing act, isn't it, Patrice, to try and walk as a young player, to be coachable, but also have that confidence. And it seems like when you can find the players that seem to know how to balance it, it's the type that you want to coach because you know that they'll be willing to absorb as much as they can and improve.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be a challenging situation for Aiden to come in as we pick up more and more pieces. But I mean, I can tell you from speaking to him, he won't be feeling overwhelmed or lost in the shuffle. We certainly have plans for him. And I think that he's very keen on proving what he can do.
Well, this might be the last chance that Halifax Wanderers supporters get to hear from their head coach before the holidays. Is there anything you've asked Derek Martin on your shopping list for the new year, your wish list?
A lot more and more to come. But we ask for patience as we try to find the right pieces to form the culture that we're heading for. So slowly and surely we're getting there.
Well, Derek, a lot more. That's going to be an expensive shopping list, but one that I know that Patrice and the supporters are excited for. Patrice, again, thank you so much. Congratulations on your first draft. We're excited to see how these young men might turn out for the Wanderers.
Thanks, Adam.
Moving right along. Next up, Mark Noonan for York United's final pick.
With the second pick of the second round, the 11th overall of the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, York United FC selects Trevine Esprit from Ontario Tech University.
And this is another Ridgeback that goes to York United, and this is a player, despite only being a freshman, that surprised a ton of people. Ontario Tech's assistant coach Casey Kirish told me that this guy is already the ultimate pro, locked in and is pro-ready in terms of doing everything right with his physicality, his technique, the way he approaches the game. He's there early, he stays late, Casey tells me, and he is constantly a type of player that is looking for ways to try and improve. A goal and an assist in 12 matches for the Ridgebacks, who had an absolutely unbelievable regular season. As we check back in with Martin Nash, you have a couple of Ridgebacks now, Martin, to try and see if they're ready to take that step. And this is a young player that seems like he might just have all the tools to really make it in this league.
Yeah, he's a great athlete. He's got good technical qualities. He's got good escape skills when he's in tight spaces. And he's, just love his attitude and his work rate. So I think he's got all the tools to make it the next level.
Well, League One experience with Unionville and Simcoe County Rovers. This is the type of player, and as I was just reminded by your old colleague, Tommy Wheeldon Jr., you don't make direct comparisons to players, but when you think of a technical central midfielder who has a bit of offensive bite, you have to be excited for a player like that to try and learn from. Isaiah Johnson, who came through this draft, but also a Moba Bully, who's seemingly able to create whatever he wants on the field.
Yeah, you get a chance to come in and work with some great players that can show him the ropes and he can learn from. So he's going to come into a great environment. And, I think he's already he's got a great attitude and work rate. And I think that'll be good for him and good for us.
Well, this completes your 2 selections in this year's 2023 CPL U Sports Draft. Martin, congratulations. Thank you again for joining us, and all the best over the holiday season.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, we are moving right along. We know the commissioner is ready. Valor's got another pick.
With the 3rd pick of the 2nd round, the 12th overall of this 2023 CPL U Sport Draft, Valor FC selects Samuel Laplante from Université de Quebec à Trois-Rivières.
Well, just as York United had done their shopping with Ontario Tech, Valor does the same with UQTR, grabbing Samuel Laplante. Saint Eustache, Quebec native, another player in his first year who showed very good promise, the ability to do a variety of things as a left back that also can play a little bit further forward. Number of PLSQ seasons under his belt with both Blainville and Saint-Hubert. He's quick, strong dribbler, good at crossing the ball, and has a chance to challenge for minutes when you think of other picks like Guillaume Pianelli, who got drafted by Philip Dos Santos, who joins us for the second and final time today. Phil, you clearly have a like for what they're doing with the Patriote. You get 2 blue chip players. What do you think of the 2 players you've selected today?
No, well, we spoke about Pianelli, and now I look at Samuel. It's not easy to find good left-footed players that understand the role of a fullback, could play a little bit higher up, like you mentioned, even in a wing-back position. He has great workload and work rate. He has a very good left foot. Now it's about seeing how he's going to do at this level. It's about seeing how he's going to be able to defend and cope with the demands of the game, and I think that we have no doubt about his offensive abilities and how he could be on the ball and how he could help in that phase of the game. But I think the next level now is to see how reliable he could be defensively, how he could deal with 1v1 situations out wide and work with his line. So we're looking forward to having him in preseason and see how he does.
Well, it's fitting that Pacific is on the clock right now, because I do have to ask you about a couple of former Pacific players and the busy offseason you have had already. Look, we understood with Valor that the fact that you hadn't been in the playoffs wasn't going to be acceptable for this club, and that change was coming. Still lots more to do, Phil, I'm sure, but what have you made of the signings you've made and how you think they could fit in with the DNA of this team?
Yeah, I think it's, we're in that cycle, and that's the CPL, the way contracts are made, and there's going to be a year of change, and I think we're there now. For us, it was important to add league experience. I think that's very valuable. Players that have won, that have been in winning locker rooms. So we know both in Jordan and Abdou how they work. Their mentality is great. Just speaking with them, I got that sense right away. So for us, it's exciting to think about what's coming next. I think character is very important. So that's what we want. That's what we want to recruit. So looking forward to it.
Well, as we say goodbye to Phil Dos Santos for the final time in 2022, an opportunity, Phil, for you to just address the Valor supporters that are tuned in watching today.
Yeah, again, we're. It's important. It's important. It's an important year for us because they've been there since year one and they've been so supportive. It's a city that has won in previous sports. There's been success here. So, of course, they're eager to see that happen in the football side of it, the soccer side of it. So we feel that responsibility, but I think it's a normal one in sports. So not only titles, but also being able to bring playoff competitions in a city like that. We look at our stadium and we sure could fill seats, and it's important for us to also give them something to cheer for. So hopefully 2023 will be an important year for us and a good year for us.
Well, thank you very much, Philip, and félicitations to Samuel for getting drafted by Valor. We will check in with Phil in 2023. Right now, however, we will go to the commissioner for Pacific's final pick.
With the fourth pick of the second round, the 13th overall in the CPL U Sports Draft for 2023, Pacific FC select Brandon Torreson from Trinity Western University.
Well, we mentioned Trinity Western atop the broadcast. With the success of Joel Waterman, might Brandon Torreson be the next to follow in his footsteps from the Spartans? The defender from North Vancouver, British Columbia, can also play a little bit of midfield as well. You think about him and his brother Tristan, who are former Whitecaps Academy players who have really made an impact on that school. Brandon would count as a U21 player if he were to be signed into the CPL. And versatility, centrally on the left, comfortable on the ball in traffic, as you're seeing. He's willing and able to drive play forward, and he works on keeping possession, but also has the pace to allow him to get involved up top. So a bit of a Swiss Army knife or a Spartan Army knife that I will be asking James Merriman about. This is a player that looks like he can play up tempo, James, and I know that the Pacific's a club that likes to try and do that.
Yeah, I think you just said it, Adam. Like he's very, very versatile player. He's played central midfield. He's played as a 6 and 8 left side center back, and can also play as a left back. He's a player I know really well. I worked with him for 3 or 4 years in Vancouver before coming to Pacific. So I know who he is. I know his character, his competitiveness. He's a winner. He might go under the radar a little bit in this draft, but I think a very, very cultured left foot, comfortable on the ball, receiving in possession. So we're excited about him. We're looking at him as a left back, and I'm excited to work with him again.
This is a season where Pacific comes in hungry. Not that Pacific wasn't hungry next year, but it's a little bit different when you have the title, isn't it? Because you got to defend it, but now you go back on the attack. And this, from you look at the roster, what you've been able to assemble so far. We know Pacific is dangerous when they're hungry. Can you feel that starting to boil once again as we get through this offseason?
Yeah, I think, one game short from the league and one game short from the final, and it leaves you motivated. So we've been working to build the team, to build a squad, to a dynamic team for the fans. We have a great fan base here. We want to continue to be competitive and at the top. So yeah, I think the staff has been doing a great job. They were working through the break. We'll take a small break, but excited for the new season.
Well, with Cavalry on the clock, I will leave you, James, with just one more question. The club obviously very appreciative of all the things that Callum Irving was able to do in service to the club, but it gives one more ingredient to what should be a very exciting match, the first time that Vancouver and Pacific play, Langford versus Langley. What do you think of when you envision what that first match in the derby will feel like?
Yeah, I think it's an instant rival. It's also great for the fans because you can get on the ferry and go either way. So I expect it to be full, and that energy. Now Callum going there obviously adds to that fire a little bit, but we appreciate everything Callum did here at Pacific and wish him the best. And we'll meet him in that match. But we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the competition, and I know our fans are as well.
Well, we appreciate your time, James, for joining us today. Congratulations on your 2 selections, and have a very safe and happy holiday season.
Thank you. Thanks. You too, Adam.
James Merriman of Pacific having joined the show. And now we go to the other side of the Rockies. Here's Mark Noonan with Cavalry's next pick.
Thanks, Adam. With the 5th pick of the second round, which is the 14th overall pick for the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Cavalry FC selects Eric Kabsa, another local product from the University of Calgary.
Well, again to the University of Calgary, and again a North Vancouver, British Columbia native who was drafted into the Canadian Premier League. Eric came through the Whitecaps Academy before moving to Calgary. He can play in that defensive midfield role or at center back, again, flexibility. You think about depth at 2 positions, that is always helpful. We know Tommy Wheeldon Jr. likes his players that are able to play in different assets and facets of the game, and I will ask Tommy about this comment, so I'll save it, but we've seen on this distribution, finishing, great job moving the ball around, and a player that also has some experience in Poland as well. Tommy, the quote you gave me is competitive as hell. That sounds like a Cavalry player, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of the DNA, isn't it? And what we've seen in this lad, he epitomized it. He's had a good upbringing. He's played in some pro environments, like coming through the Whitecaps, and we went across to Poland during the pandemic year, as you can see, and he can play in multiple positions. He's a good passer of the ball. We like his composure under pressure. We also like his physicality. He can walk into a room and he's got a size about him. So I think physically he's ready. And, coming out of the University of Calgary, he's going to be intelligent. And part of our system has always been quite flexible. So we're looking forward to seeing him in training camp and seeing how he works for us.
Well, 6'3", 183 pounds, a Canada West second team All-Star. Just when you think about the off season so far, and it's been busy, Cavalry have been announcing players who have departed the club, but also announcing players who are coming in as you look towards 2023. What do you want the supporters to keep in mind over the holiday season, as I'm sure some of them are asking for North Star Shield for Christmas next year?
Listen, we were going to be patient this year. We felt it was time to have a little bit of freshness and allow some of the lads some new environments, but whilst still maintain our core. Like what James said there, we were one win away from winning the regular season and one win away from being in the final. They're close margins, so you don't want to throw out everything out when you just need to be patient, and the market's inflated slightly. So we got to make sure that we take our time, bring in the right people, right players, and stick to our principles. We've got a very exciting team. We've got more wins than anyone else at home. We know how good that is. We've got to convert that to being on the road, and we're looking at a few things that can add to it. So we're going to be patient. It was important to get the guys like Marco Carducci for a long-term signing. We're happy to bring in Jesse Daly as an international player. We think he has great pedigree, and everything else now we're going to take our time, do our due diligence, and have another crack at it, because there's 3 trophies to chase next year.
Well, Tommy, we appreciate it. Congratulations on both of your selections today. We look forward to learning more about them as training camps begin, and we'll be back at it before you know it.
All right, thanks.
Tommy Wilden Jr., the head coach and general manager of Cavalry FC, joining us to explain his 2 picks. Let's go to Commissioner Mark Noonan for Atletico Ottawa's next selection.
With the 6th pick of the second round and the 15th overall pick in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Atletico Ottawa selects Mohamed Bouzidi from Carleton University.
Well, a 6-foot-tall striker, the freshman, a hometown kid, Ottawa, Ontario, studying computer sciences at Carleton. Another young player that could fall under the U21 designation from the West Ottawa youth setup, West Ottawa SC. OPDL champion. He had been the league's top scorer, and he brought some pretty good offense to the Ravens this year as well, to put it bluntly. 7 goals in just 5 matches started, 10 matches played all year. That was second on the team to only senior Scott Mazzoda, who had him by 2. And we also know that Carlos Gonzalez, who joins us now, got a pretty good inside look and scouting report on this player. When you have Kwesi Loney on your staff, it's pretty good. They're pretty easy to hear about the Carleton Ravens that are available, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. The reality is that, of course, Kwesi know him really well. Also, we know him really well. As you said, he's a player that has a special relation with the goal. He has scored 7 goals this season. He's a forward that can play in all the positions up front, and he's a player that understands really well the attack. He can move well to spaces and between lines. So I think that is a great opportunity for him. A great opportunity to continue working on the development of the local talent. That there is a lot of local talent here in Ottawa. So we are looking forward to have him in the preseason, and we hope that he can still grow with us.
Well, Carlos, the next season for Atletico Ottawa is going to be tough, because you set the bar so high for yourselves. And I know that as a club, you enjoy that challenge so much. And you mentioned progression and evolution. We know that this is a team that would like to get a little bit more offensively fluid, offensively dynamic, and maybe a player like Mohamed can go away in doing that. But now that you've had a couple of months since the CPL final of 15,000 that were there, what are your final memories from 2022 before it is full steam ahead on next year?
Well, they were great. I think that every time you see things with big perspective, you can find out and you can take more details about the things that you've achieved. And I think that the last season was great for the team, great for the city, and now we are looking forward to improving this. I know that the ceiling is high, and I know that we've done it really well last season. But we are have plenty of energy to work on improving the club inside the field, outside the field, because still we have things to go on. And of course, the most important thing is to create a more competitive roster so that we can be in better position for next season.
On the regular season champions, the coach of the year, Carlos Gonzalez, and now 2 new U Sports Draft picks to look forward to in 2023. Congratulations. Thank you, Carlos, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thank you, Adam. See you.
Well, last but not least, we go back to Mark Noonan for Forge in the final pick of this year's draft.
Thank you, Adam. With the 7th pick of round 2, the 16th overall, and the last pick in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft, Forge FC select Milo Jurisic from York University.
Well, that is a very important clarification from the commissioner there. York University, not York United, but yes, the Lions graduate another player perhaps into the Canadian Premier League, the Brampton, Ontario native, a 6'4", 190-pound defender who can absolutely shut things down, but also be a target on set pieces. From the Vaughan Azzurri and being a starter with the York Lions, for 3 years, it's not much of a stretch to think that he could be among some of the best in the Canadian Premier League, Milo Jurisic, and scored his first OUA goal against the Windsor Lancers on September the 4th of this season. Back to the Forge War Room. We got 2 smiling gentlemen who have some projects on their hands, and I mean that as a compliment because we know how much this club likes to shape talent. It seems like you have it, and Milo, 6'4", 190, you can't teach that. Believe me, I've been trying to learn how to get there.
Yeah, no, we like a lot of what we see. I guess the most important thing is he's a very comfortable player on the ball. He's a player who likes to play and can build, and we know that's important to Forge. And he comes from a winning environment. When you look at York University and what's been done there with Carmen Asako over the years, these players know how to compete week in, week out. And I think it makes them a little bit more ready as they're getting to this next level. And that's one thing we've looked at along with Jelani Smith, who's with me here today. We've done a lot of work in the background of trying to find some players that we think, have got that ability to crack what's a difficult lineup for us.
Well, since you rightfully bring him up, I would be remiss not to ask Delaney a question about the draft, because we know that there is an unbelievable amount of talent in this country. You certainly had your fair share of exciting times during your playing days, but when you're building a roster like this and helping to put it together, what are sort of the components that Forge this club is looking for? Because we know it's not an easy environment to go into because the standards are so high.
Yeah, to no one's surprise, you like to have players that build at the back, compose on the ball. So you're looking for people that kind of match the mold and match the philosophy that we have here at Forge.
All right, Bobby, Jelani, thank you so much for joining us. Costa as well. Congratulations on your draft once again this season. That completes it as Forge makes the final selection in the 2023 CPL U Sports Draft with Milo Jurisic selected from York University. Let's go through the entirety of this draft. 16 picks have been made, 2 for each club's Anthony White of the University of Toronto Varsity Blues going first overall, followed by Amir Kanani of the Toronto Metropolitan University Bold. Anthony Stolar of Cape Breton University went to the Halifax Wanderers. Christopher Campoli and Trevine Esprit of Ontario Tech both went to York United. Christopher being the first round selection. Guillaume Pianelli, Balisoni of Les Patriotes de l'UQTR go along with Samuel Laplante in round 2. Pacific Draft, Eric Lajeunesse of the UBC Thunderbirds and Brandon Torson of the Trinity Western University Spartans. Cavalry gets a couple of good prospects out of the University of Calgary, keeping that local theme. Eric Kobza just went in round 2, along with William Omorenier is junior. He come from Thompson Rivers University, who went to Atletico Ottawa, along with Carleton's Mohamed Bouzidi. And for Forge, 2 picks out of the Golden Horseshoe, with Miles Green from McMaster University being selected with the final pick in the first round, and Milo Jurisic of the York University Lions going with the final pick today. Well, that is it. 16 more names have joined the CPL fold. It is now up to them to go into training camp and try and show each and every one of those coaching staffs that we saw and heard from today that they deserve to stick around. And we know there's been success from this draft before. The level in Canada just continues to get higher and higher each and every year. I want to remind everyone that the full-length interview, Christian Jack's chat with Joel Waterman, will be available on canpl.ca. Our thanks again to Joel for spending some time with us and helping to inspire the next generation of players who look to follow in his footsteps. Of course, the CPL and at OneSoccer will have all of the post-draft reaction It's a special day, and I know it's a very special day for the players selected, but also their families. So big congratulations to them and an early present in this holiday season. On behalf of everyone at the Canadian Premier League who worked so tirelessly behind the scenes to put this event on, I think everyone is due for some well-deserved time off over this holiday season. And another thank you to Degree for sponsoring this year's CPL U Sports Draft. I've been Adam Jenkins. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to speaking to you with more good news in 2023. So long.
Cross, back of the net, Joel Waterman.
Back post, Metusala!
Not to be outdone, Victor Laturi.
The guitar shot! Score!
Slip for Sissoko!